Hey there, YouTube, friends of animal liberation. I'm just hanging out in my house here on a sleepy Saturday morning, and I thought I'd record a quick vlog to maybe get some of my thoughts out there about my vegan outreach thus far. I'm a total noob in this field, but I wanted to get a conversation started about where my thoughts are after just being involved in this movement for a couple of weeks. If you're interested to know more of my full vegan story and how I got to this point, I've been vegan for about 3 years, and you can hear my story in my first vlog um, about my personal vegan story. But today, I just want to jump into exactly where I left off. Yesterday, I did my first street interviews. I had 3 successful interviews. I'm going to post only 2 of the 3 interviews that were successful, though, because the third, I had some serious audio troubles. It's too bad. It was a really good interview. We were able to talk to 9 people at the same time. It was this big group of people, and I asked them basically the same line of question I did the other 2. So watch the one I have posted already. If you're watching this vlog new, I haven't posted the second interview yet. That's gonna come out on Monday. So as you can see behind me here, that side. I'm joined by Ellie, one of my border collies, and you might see some of the other 2 walk through the screen here. I've got Tap and Drift with me as well. They're going to keep me company while I'm recording this vlog here. And without getting too sidetracked, just look forward to the second street interview coming out on Monday. That was a really productive conversation as well. Same line of questioning, starting with, do you believe that children are innocent? Kind of focusing on babies. And there's Tap. No matter what I do, I'm going to point in the wrong direction. There's Tap. Cool. I did it. Where do I want to start today? I have a list of 6 things. I'm hoping this won't take me very long to get through, but just my immediate takeaways from doing street interviews yesterday. I jumped in and did this. I didn't prepare much to go out there and talk to strangers, but here's what I'm taking away after one day. Number 1, getting out there and talking to people was surprisingly easy. I have not spent a lot of time talking with strangers. Just hadn't done it. And that was one of my biggest fears, getting into doing some street activism, some street interviews, one-on-one with people. And I found that when I just approached people and said, my friend and I, we run a YouTube channel, interviewing people about morality and ethics today. We do some street interviews. Would you be interested in answering a few questions for us? Do you have a few minutes to answer some questions? Some variety of that introduction, and you really quickly get no from a lot of people. And that's totally fine. We were just walking around the Capitol Square here in Madison. Those of you that are familiar with Madison, it's the center of town. It was a nice day. It was a nice afternoon, Friday afternoon. Probably weather in the low 70s. There were a lot of people milling about. And it was really easy to go up to people that were eating their lunch or were just walking around. A lot of tourists are here in Madison in the summer. You don't really want to come here in the winter, so this is a perfect time to kind of start street activism. It was very easy to just go up to them, make a pitch. People aren't on the defensive. They'll either say no or they'll say yes, or they'll say maybe. What are you asking about? Those people weren't as receptive, I found. If they were like sort of mistrustful of the interview, then it tended to not go as well. But people that just said, yeah, I'll do it, or they're in a group or they're with a friend or they're waiting for a friend. Yeah, I've got a few minutes to kill. Sure, I'll answer a few questions. So that part of it was surprisingly easy. The next issue I want to talk about is number 2, is that I'm finding this experience to be incredibly empowering. If you watch my vegan story, you'll know that I've been basically a silent vegan for about 3 years. I haven't really been talking about my feelings. I've been kind of keeping this stuff to myself. And going out and talking to random people, starting a conversation about morality and ethics, and finding out if people agree with their own actions. I find that to be really powerful. It's like reliving my own vegan realization, my own vegan experience, or trying to help others have that same connection. Although there's the problem of the enormity of the problem, right? That there's so many more non-vegans than there are vegans. And we're living in a non-vegan world. I still find the act of going out and be able to have productive conversations, even if the people don't go vegan overnight, even if they don't seem that receptive. There's a moment in each conversation when you can see the people think. You know, you can sense it, that they're thinking about something that they ordinarily push aside. They're not focused on dealing with it in their daily life. And then they're confronted with it in this, and they come to the realization on their own. That's really empowering. It makes you want to continue. Number 3, going out there and doing some of the street activism, these street interviews. The studying that I've done has been essential to the success. I can talk to any number of things like, oh, the books I've read, or, you know, any of the resources I've looked at. Those have all helped. But what really has helped me is watching other people that have channels where they do street activism, street interviews like these. They use something called the Socratic method, which is where you avoid telling the people you're talking to about your message. You let them answer open-ended questions that lead them to a vegan conclusion, or lead them to that moment of cognitive dissonance. Like the line of questioning that I used, I stole directly from a video by Earthly Ned, where he was collaborating with Joey Carbstrong. Those are 2 great YouTube channels that I like a lot of their videos, and they'll show up in my liked videos on the Friends of Animal Liberation. So if you're interested in doing this, I suggest you look at some of their videos. Also, Banana Warrior Princess is fantastic. I'll like some of her videos as well. They just go out there and they ask these really open-ended questions. Like, my line of questioning goes as follows. Do you believe that babies are innocent? Do you believe that babies are vulnerable? Usually people say yes, because that's generally how people feel. Babies are innocent, they are vulnerable, they need to be taken care of. These are the things we end up talking about. And then that leads to the question of, are house pets, like cats and dogs, are they also vulnerable? And then you try to lead them to the conclusion of that it's our responsibility as non-vulnerable people in society in that way, that it's our responsibility to take care of those that are vulnerable, right? Most likely the person you're interviewing will come to that conclusion on their own. It is our responsibility to take care of the less fortunate, the vulnerable, the innocent in society. Has no choice but to trust humans to take care of them. And without that trust and without that care, the vulnerable and the innocent will die. They will perish without that support. Then, after that, then you ask, well, should that also be extended to farmed animals like cows, pigs, chickens, fish, etc. And that will really lead you very close to the vegan conclusion. It's about making them realize that why protect one vulnerable entity and not protect the other? And then they're going to bring up anti-vegan arguments like health or tradition, or whatever they're going to do, and then you can combat each individual argument that they bring up at that point, or ask them more questions that are going to lead them closer and closer to a vegan conclusion. So if they come at you with something like, well, those animals were bred to be food, so therefore it's okay for me to eat it, you can come back and ask them, well, from the victim's perspective, do they care whether they were bred for food, or do they also want to live regardless of what they were bred for? Do they still feel pain and suffering, just like the vulnerable in society? So they're going to see the fallacy in their own arguments when you turn it around on them and just kind of shine a mirror on what they're saying. And when they see that reflection back at them, they realize that this is not a morally defendable position, especially in the context of the initial argument, which is, do you believe that babies are innocent? Are they vulnerable? When you have that kind of framework set up that they answer those questions on their own, they have a harder time defending things like humane slaughter, defending things like, well, it's my personal choice to eat animals. They're more likely to see that it's not a personal choice, that it affects another being. So studying those videos, just by watching them, really has helped me formulate these questions on the spot. If you're interested in doing these street interviews, I really suggest watching a lot of activism videos. That's what's really helped me. Then the thing that seems hard, but I was able to do pretty well, I think, in the interviews was keep the conversation going. You want to try to avoid lulls in the conversation, especially on the person you're trying to convince side. You want to keep them talking. The goal in the Socratic method is to have the person come to the conclusion on their own. You don't want to say, eating animals is wrong, change your behavior. You want them to come to that conclusion on their own. So the important thing is to keep them talking. So when they have finished saying a point, you want to say, well, I guess my next question for you, based on what you said, is blah, 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 and jump in there. What I need to do a better job of is starting my questions with maybe a little bit of different language. I started so many questions with so, like, and that was kind of driving me crazy when I watched my own videos. So I'm gonna try to get rid of so, like, as an interjection and just start talking where the question begins. I think by listening to our own speech patterns on vlogs or on our own videos, it can be quite illuminating. We think we're being a lot clearer than we might be. Number 5, having a partner with you. In this case, my friend Lawrence came with me. That really helped me break the ice. I was feeling pretty nervous. We went out to lunch together and got some good food, and then went out and started the activism. If I had just decided to go out on my own with my camera and a tripod, I probably would have chickened out. I probably would have just eaten lunch downtown and then got in my car and drove home. Or I would have been more likely to do that. At least in starting out, it's really helpful for me to have somebody with me, because then I'm less likely to back out, because that person carved out some time in his day, I carved out some time in my day, I have somebody else to answer to, I'm more likely to follow through and do the activism that we planned on doing. So great, get a partner, find somebody else who is willing to hold a camera or is willing to help you out. That's really valuable. And then number 6, what I tried to do in the interviews is I tried to remain open-minded. I tried to listen and really listen to what the person was saying and really identify what they were saying and try to ask a follow-up question that wasn't too obvious what my agenda was. I tried to keep things on their terms. I tried to stay cheerful and smile occasionally and laugh when funny things came up or uncomfortable things came up. Try to remain comfortable. Like if somebody says something where they're clearly identifying with the horror of their own position, like, well, obviously I believe that eating animals is wrong because hurting defenseless, vulnerable, innocent beings is not a defensible position, and they're really getting to that point, they will probably laugh uncomfortably. If you don't follow that by laughing with them, I'd imagine that could get very uncomfortable. So I tried to match the body language of the person I was talking to. And some of that is subconscious, some of that you don't think about, you just kind of do naturally, but I try to be aware that like some of these people were facing these issues for their first time. And be sensitive to that, like what would I want from somebody who's asking me these difficult questions? I think that's it. That's 6 takeaways. This video is going on a little longer than I expected it to, but that's okay. Thanks for spending part of your day with me. I look forward to posting more vlogs and more activism videos. Thanks. Remember to comment below. Do you have any more suggestions? Have you learned anything from your street activism? Please subscribe to the channel, Friends of Animal Liberation, and I hope to see you on the streets soon.